this will definitely go up on the podcast probably tomorrow. So, if you don't already know, Colin Kaepernick this Saturday had a scheduled workout with the NFL. It's a lot of angles, a lot of ways that you can look at this. A lot of stuff has come out after the fact. So, there has been, just to give you some bullet points, there has been talk that Jay-Z had a major influence on getting him this workout. There's also been talk that Jay-Z's contract or his deal with the NFL had a stipulation in it that Colin Kaepernick would get a workout. The other issues are the waiver. The other issues are the moving of the venue, the change of the venue, and lastly, the Stephen A. Smith reign. So, where do you want to start? Because we can start.
Well, if we start at the contract. Okay. The timeline itself of how this all began, we know it 1,000 times over. He decided to take the kneel by way of someone on the 49ers team who served in the military. Told him, just try to find another way except for sitting down. He decided to kneel. Found out that the team wasn't going to re-sign his contract. He opted out, became a free agent. No team picked him up. Following that, he attempted to work out for a bunch of other teams. Nobody wanted to see him. He filed a lawsuit. Right. And that lawsuit stipulated that, hey, these teams have been colluding. He sues the NFL. They settle a case. Him as well as Eric Reed. Now leaves us to this point where he's still been working out. They've went and got quarterbacks from junkyards and brought them in the league. And he's trying to figure out why no one has called him. Outside of all the political things that he's done, it's clear that the political stuff has an effect on him playing in the NFL still, despite his athletic ability to be able to perform on a NFL stage. So he decided, hey man, let me get with these NFL dudes. Roger Goodell says, look, we'll put something together. We'll set aside this day so that we'll get some teams together. You'll do it at the Atlanta Stadium, and we'll go from there. Well, here was the problem. They did it on a Saturday. They were trying to book it on a Saturday, which
it's tough for teams.
Catch representatives know, hey man, they ain't gonna be able to see this because these dudes are preparing for Sunday.
Like, how do I know that? Who they gonna send? They gonna send Jimmy the video guy?
So there was a bunch of question marks on the validity of what the NFL were doing from Kaepernick's side.
Right.
What the NFL didn't think of was that he would not show up. They thought in good faith what they put on the table was inclusive enough for him to show up and perform in front of these teams that they claimed that were going to be there.
Right.
Well, the problem was it was a cryptic contract. The contract really is based on what the contract waivers are. So like we talked off air, it's based on, if somebody's going to write a story based on your life, there are going to be things that are going to be taken out of that contract that are not like the original.
Right.
So that's where the mystery is, because we don't know what those things were. We don't know what those things that were taken out that could eventually bite him in the rear and the back end.
Yeah.
Because once you sign that contract, you're obligated to everything that's entitled in that contract.
Absolutely.
So that liability contract, the assumption of risk agreement if he was to get hurt.
Yep.
Who's going to pick the quarterbacks and the coaches to come out there? Who's going to pick the receivers? Who's going to pay these coaches, receivers,
right.
and
I think they tried to pacify him by sending Hugh Jackson, having Hugh Jackson run the issue. And you know, not to cut you off, but getting into what a lot of the things you just mentioned, and the masking and the contract and the hidden agendas in the contract, Hugh Jackson just got fired.
Right.
So what capacity is he really working with in the NFL?
Who's he working for?
Right. What capacity is he working with in order for him to be the head dude
The
running this
representative.
organized,
the guy that's going to represent
the NFL
right.
in this situation. So that was a red flag for me. And just to touch on real quickly what some of the stuff that Stephen A said, which had people in a rant and calling him coon. I get what you're saying and how he delivered it, because that's just him. He always has his feelings in it a lot of times. But and I'm one to tell you a lot of times don't agree with some of the things that he says, which is cool. It's fine. Sometimes you agree to disagree. But he put out points for people to make note of and pay attention to that would kind of bring some light on the situation, to bring thoughts about what some of the stuff you just said.
Right.
Like, he didn't want to sign a waiver. Okay? And everybody just took it as like, oh, boy, he didn't want to sign a waiver. I said, but it's a lot that goes into that.
True.
Like we talked already, like you mentioned, boy, what happens if I get hurt?
Yeah, who's liable?
Who's liable if I get hurt? If you got these receivers coming in, your receiver, who are these receivers that you picked? Where are they from? Who's paying these guys?
Right.
Okay. And one of the other things I mentioned, and I said, and this is Stephen A's rant, and the way it took people on social media kind of proves my point. And I think it was Jules, I might have mentioned it in the comments with Jules or somebody else, whatever, but I mentioned the fact that the media situation, and I totally get it. How are y'all you want to have control over the media, so no media is going to be involved? I still said, but if you take a step back and you think about it, the whole entire situation, couldn't you argue? You could argue and say that the media was part of the reason that this whole situation got blown into the air like it did. And somebody will say, well, what do you mean the media? I said, well, because Colin Kaepernick took a knee for social injustice in the community. That was it. He said that. Social injustice in the community. Why not take the man for his words? Take the words for what they're worth. The media immediately went and changed that whole narrative.
Put a crazy spin on it.
Put a spin on it and said that it was about disrespecting the flag.
In the military.
So as we went through that whole thing, go back and Google the Star Spangled Banner or the national anthem, which they sing at every sporting event. Go back and read it, African Americans and everyone for that matter. Pay attention to verse number 3. Gives you a clear description. Then we also said, who came up with singing the national anthem at sporting events?
Right.
Who came up with that concept, that idea? So Stephen A might have given you the impression of being a coon, but if you take a step back, read between the lines, and listen to everything he said, like I posted, you got to see both sides of the picture. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be with Kaepernick because he changed the venue and he might have messed it up for himself. You can easily argue that. And I'm not saying that I'm with the NFL when they can say, well, we gave you NFL practice facility, NFL quality this, NFL that, this, then whatever. I'm not arguing that either. But I'm not taking that side, rather. I'm sorry. I'm not taking that side either. What I'm saying is you have to see both sides before you formulate an opinion. Because when you get people like me and Baldy that start getting on social media and I start calling people on stuff when their immediate comments, their knee-jerk comments, then they have no answers for it.
Right. And that's my kick. My kick is
they have no answers.
Yeah. Even with all those questions, the question is, who can answer these questions? Because we don't know.
Right.
We're giving our take on what we know now, what we've read, what we've been given as information, these little pockets of information, but we don't know the whole script. And that script, that could be why Kaepernick decided not to go, because these questions that has to be answered are probably ones that were taken out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's going to own the rights to this video? Who's going to own the editing rights? You know, because at the end of the day, if I sign this contract and I'm on your facility, you own the rights to it.
Right.
You know, if I come in your crib and I find $5, well, I ain't finding it. It was already there. That's your money.
Yeah.
I can't take it and leave with it. Oh, my man, that was in my house.
Yeah.
You can't take that with you and spend it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like contractually. That's why I said it's cryptic. It's mysterious. We don't know what was in it. Right. And because of that, you know, hearing Stephen A. Having his dialogue on it, I can understand where he's coming from. Do I agree wholeheartedly? Nah, but I understand where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. Kaepernick got his lane. Could he done it a different way? Possibly, yeah. But at the same time, I can see where he's coming from. I'm seeing the angles without having all the information. But right. I got more questions than the answers.
Yeah.
And so when I'm looking at these specific questions, legal-wise, mm-hmm. that could be the reason why this dude decided to roll. That right. could be the reason why he switched venues. Mm-hmm. He had no control right. over the product that was going to be put out to the masses. Right. And he's been there before. Mm-hmm. So why am I going to go back down the same street again? You know, to have Jay-Z come out and say he's disappointed mm-hmm. that he, you know, that he would do that and it's a publicity stunt. Wow, that's amazing, dude. Mm-hmm. O.J. Simpson chimed in.
You got to see his angle.
Of all people, the juice mm-hmm. says your folks, your friends, they take you down a bad road. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Really? Juice? Really? Yeah. OJ?
That's funny.
So when you got Jay-Z and OJ agreeing on something, there's a problem here.
There's something wrong there.
Because for Jay-Z to say he's disappointed, first of all, this man ain't your son. Right. That man ain't your son. You didn't go through what that man went through, and you then got publicly on television and pretty much stomped on some of the stuff, not all, but some of the stuff that he's already been doing. Mm-hmm. You stomped on this dude to solidify a spot, to be in the boardroom, to be able to make change. You stepped on some people to get there, dude. Mm-hmm. So for you to say that you're disappointed, that man don't answer to you. No. How are you disappointed? Because whatever you got going on, that's going to affect it.
And you also got to take into consideration, like I like Jay-Z as a businessman too, as well. You know, I think he's very business savvy. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line, again, like we always say, that $1 billion conglomerate, you there, but you not there.
You're not there. And
that Kaepernick situation really had nothing to do with you because, like we said, if you look at it for face value, he is not even a legitimate free agent. So in actuality, he's not really auditioning for any team
at all.
So hence his issues with wanting to have the media there. And people will probably look at my comments and what I said. And what I said to you is, right, I said, I'm just giving you angles. Like Baldy said, you got questions. Some of those questions are legit questions. Like mm-hmm. you said, I understand his point about the media, him wanting the media to be there and it's the rights thing and all of that. They can put out whatever they want and this and that. No, I want to have control of that because it's me. But I also said that you can argue that the media is part of the reason why he got what he got. You know, and like Baldy was just saying, now, why you went through what you went through, you turned down a contract, you went through what you went through the second time, you sued the NFL. Got to the point where y'all settled out of court. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. So like Baldy said when we were off air, why am I sending you my resume?
Yeah, why is my resume trying to end up in the spot of the people that don't want me there?
When I already proved that the collusion was present. So again, why am I auditioning for you again?
Mm-hmm. And let's be clear,
get back into the league.
When I hear people and when I want everybody, when you watch this segment, when you listen to it, however you divulge this information, when people say that Colin Kaepernick sold out and took a settlement, use your words wisely because he didn't sell out. He proved without a shadow of a doubt that there was collusion. He proved that people colluded and got together. See, it's easy for these 32 teams individually to deny you. But once you can prove that they all were in cahoots, then it becomes blackballing. And there's no type of selling out when I sue you for something you did wrong against me.
Absolutely.
No, I'm holding you accountable for what you did.
All they did was pinch a few pennies and save face.
That's it.
That's all they did.
Now that my kick was, if he truly, to my point, if you want to ride this wave all the way out and expose everything, don't take a dime.
Right.
But he took that money and then put that money right back in his campaign for stuff that he's doing for kids in the community. So that to me was like, okay, he's using those funds for the cause. Mm-hmm. I understand why you did that. To ride it till the wave fall off, I would have preferred he did that. That's just my preference, because you don't went this far. Right. You might as well say, nah, keep your bread. Let's get this information out to people. We can clearly see who these owners were.
Right.
It's confidential now.
Yeah.
We don't know who they were.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's still a toss up.
It's still up in the air.
People are saying like, oh, we hope it happens, and bottom line is, if they don't want it to happen, it's not going to happen.
I got questions, B. Got a lot of questions.
If they don't want it to happen, it's not going to happen.
Everybody gets cut, B. Everybody gets cut
every day out here.
People get cut every day out here, B.
You know, so again, like I said when I posted my post, I said you got to see. But like I said, I don't agree with everything Stephen A. Smith said, but like Baldy mentioned also, I see his angle, I see his points. You know, I see where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. Colin Kaepernick, I was a little bit in disagreement, and I'm for Colin Kaepernick. Right. You know, Baldy will tell you, we've been talking about it ever since.
And I can disagree with some of this stuff too.
But on the face value, I was a little disturbed at how it played out.
Right.
Okay. Now, like I said, I don't have any issues with you changing the venue because you felt like you were doing something to better for yourself. You had your best interests in heart. Fine and well. But you could have went about it a little bit better, sure. I think.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my whole thing when people was like, well, no, he this and that, and you said this. No. I have to see everything. I have to cover everything because I'm not going to just tell you everything that you already see.
Right.
It wouldn't be a point in me doing it if I'm just going to tell you everything that you got on it, or if I just told you what I felt or how I felt. I need you to see everything. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying that I'm not in the Kaepernick's corner. I'm still in the Kaepernick's corner because I understand what he stood for. And I know why he stood for what he stood for. But a lot of times, you have to be able to adjust. And I'm not even going to use the word I was going to use, the C word. Yeah, I'm not going to use that word. You have to be able to adjust. And I think that was part of the reason why that waiver and the statements that the NFL put out were what they were. Again, like we say, they're going to protect the house. And like Baldy said, you know, protecting themselves. You went through what you went through. You sued us. You proved that we was shady.
Right.
We ain't gonna know.
You definitely proved.
We gonna put some cuffs on this so that doesn't happen again. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the problem. That's what I mean. I needed people to see. They said, well, they just don't want him to play. That may be correct, but look at the angle. And I'm not saying that Kaepernick did anything wrong. I'm not even saying that the NFL is doing anything wrong. It's not right.
Right.
As far as business and things of that nature, I don't think this man should be held accountable this much, or he should be neglected because he chose to take a stand for something that he truly believed in. Have no issues with that. But again, you also have to look, people, the problem becomes, like we said, like he protected himself and, oh, y'all don't want the media? All right, so, well, I'm changing the venue and I'm going to bring cameras and I'm going to bring my own receivers so I can narrate this. I can control my part of the narrative. And they're going to control their part of the narrative.
Right.
The issue is there's a 4-foot fence. I'm going to throw this in there now. A 4-foot fence where neither side wants the other to have control of the narrative. Mm-hmm. So they're going to do whatever they can to protect themselves. And I just want people to see that, and that's my angle where I'm giving this to you. I'm telling you how I feel about it, but I'm giving it to you because I see everything. I'm giving it to you from all the way across the board. I'm not one-sided and saying Kaepernick shouldn't have went. He did this, he did that. I'm saying, yeah, you should have went.
Right.
Show him up. Yeah, show him you can still play. And that's one of the things I said. I said, initially, I said, if you felt that confident, your people felt that confidence, taking the waiver and everything away, should have went to that venue. If you had that much confidence in yourself, it shouldn't have mattered where we worked out.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, again, and lastly, that fence, 4 to 5 foot, not even 6 foot, about 4 foot in between, where neither side is going to let the other control the narrative.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the big burning issue because both of the sides know it.
Yeah, they
one
both know
side
it.
wants to control.
I can't get it.
And I'm not going to give. You're not going to give. I'm not going to give. You know, so
I think, and another thing is the NFL. Honestly, in my opinion, I'm on the outside looking in, and sometimes certain things are just so blatant that there is no there is no puzzle about it. There is no big puzzle about it. It's clear that the NFL does not have a problem with him playing in the NFL. They want him to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
That rhetoric, zip it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need all that.
Right.
So if you're going to continue to do that, keep it outside there, and that's where you stay with it.
Right.
That's clear. Because they tried to do that to Eric Reed, and he's still playing in the league.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking at how they're viewing this, and they like, well, look, we've got the catalyst of this whole orchestrated thing on the outside. If we let him in, he disrupt the other 78% of black folk that are in here that he can influence. He has a lot of influence with these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what they did was they took enough steam out of him to keep him away from football that long to have contact with guys on an everyday basis the way he did before.
Right.
Take a little steam out of him. Now we might be able to bring you back now because we done took some steam out of you.
Yeah, because they know.
But we still want you to keep that rhetoric to a minimum.
They know they let him in with the rhetoric. Somebody else down the line is going to look at the situation.
It's going to be another one.
And they're going to say, oh, okay, so if he did what he did
and can still make it back,
he had some time off. He sued him.
He
took
won
a little bit of money. He won. He proved him wrong, and then they finally let him back.
And if they try it with me, there's already a case that precedes me that I can use.
That I gotta lay
and that becomes a class action lawsuit.
Absolutely.
And you talking about
so
70%
now
of the players.
People looking like, oh, I can get paid twice.
Right. Or
not using it the same way that Kaepernick did.
Exactly.
Kaepernick used his for what he believed in.
Mm-hmm.
He used his for his cause.
Mm-hmm.
But and I know the NFL people,
you already know they
gotta see what we coming at you with right now.
Already got
you know deep down inside as a fan on the outside looking in, you know that's their thought process.
If I'm an owner, I'm sitting in there with those other owners. If I'm Roger Goodell, listen, this can be a trickle down effect that could cost us billions in the back end.
Yep.
How are we going to deal with this?
How are we going to deal with it?
Because we got 77%, almost 80% of the guys in the league is black.
Yep.
So if they all decide that on a Sunday not to show up to work,
and a lot of them come from the same places,
what's going to happen if that happens? Your Sunday is interrupted.
Yep.
Because none of your players going to be on the field. You know what I mean? And that's the strength in numbers. Now, are all those guys on the same page? Probably not.
Yeah.
But let's just take 40% of them. Take 35% of them.
Yeah. Still major.
It's still major. And they know that that's an issue. So this Colin Kaepernick thing is way bigger than the flag. This is about paper, dog.
Yeah.
And because it's about paper, because it's about silencing you, because it's about taking away your rights, in a sense, because you still work for a corporation. That corporation has rules and guides, bylaws that, you know, is no different than harassment.
Right.
You know what I mean? This stuff is in there for a reason. And they got to deal with this dude sensitively, because if you don't, it can come back and cost you billions in the back end, because the majority of your guys are his color.
Yep.
And that's gonna be
a
crazy,
lot of
man.
things that he was standing up for.
And they don't want another copycat popping off.
They do not. They do not, because it might be worse.
It might be worse.
Because it could get, the second one or the next one could get ugly.
Because what?
And like you said, because they have a leg to stand on, so it could get ugly.
Take for instance, one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league right now played for the Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. God forbid something happens to anybody in his family. It's just a theoretical thing. If he has a family member, a brother, a cousin, or somebody he's close to that has a situation with police brutality where they lose their life, and he comes out and take a knee, if the NFL decides to go the same Kaepernick route, and this is fuming in him to do it because it's connected to him, because the odds are that because you got 80% of the league, somebody's going to be affected by police brutality that plays in the league. It's a matter of who they are.
Yeah.
And if you're a superstar in the league, you might want to do that. You might want to push this awareness thing and pick up the mantle from where Kaepernick dropped it off at.
Right.
And it could turn the whole league into something different.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
something that they won't be able to handle.
Listen, man,
they won't know how to handle it.
Got 80% of the league is black.
They won't know how to handle it. And that's what they scared of.
And it's
you
real.
Know? And again, we're not denying the fact that Colin Kaepernick is being blackballed. Mm-hmm. We just proved you all the points and the angles. Or a lot of them, not all of them. We just gave you a lot of the points and the angles on why we feel that way. But bottom line is, they always gonna protect the house.
Got to.
It's that simple.
You gotta protect it. Gotta protect your dollar.
Protect the house. So, with that being said, folks, that is pretty much a wrap for today. So we got through that painlessly. Hopefully, like Baldy said, hopefully you got some information from that. Mm-hmm. Again, that will definitely go up on the podcast. I'm sure I gotta put that up on the podcast because people need to see it. Like I said, it was YouTube Live, so it should be posted later today as well if you missed any of it. Before we close out, you know, you got Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Chargers tonight, closing out Week 11. Got some NBA games on tonight. You got Cavs at the Knicks, Pacers at the Nets, the Hornets at the Raptors, the Bucks at the Bulls, the Blazers are at the Rockets, the Spurs are in Dallas to face the Mavs, Timberwolves going to the Jazz, Celtics are at the Suns, and the Thunder are at the Clippers. Sixers are off until Wednesday when they are home against the Knicks. NHL, the Ducks are at the Capitals tonight. The Kings are at the Coyotes. Flyers are back in action tomorrow night at the Panthers. Right now, the Flyers are currently 10-6 in the early NHL season. Mm-hmm. All in all, folks, a great show again as well. Glad to have a partner in here with me today.
Yes, sir.
And it's a little chilly out, but it's that time of year, so you know how to dress right for the weather. Ain't no time to be cute. Be warm. Be smart. Be great on purpose. As always, you know where to find me. I'm not going to give you all of the stuff today because you already know it. You know where to find us. Baldy, you know where to find him.
Yes, sir.
And stay tuned. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Got the SportsRap blog coming real soon. That will be added to the website, and you know the website. I'm going to just give you that, sportsrapradio.com. I know when you type it in, like I always say, when you type it in, it probably gives you radio show what you want, sportsrapradio.com. So be on the lookout for the blog and some more info on the Delaware Bluecoats, Camden Monarchs, and anything else that we're doing. And again, like we said, you can get at us for your own show, your own podcast on Heat 100. Get at us for information on that. If you got music you want played, anything of that nature, advertising for your business, we got music, we got spin packages, we got advertising packages. Get at me. I can get you all the information and get you started. 12:55, folks. Enjoy your Monday and enjoy the rest of your week. And we will see you all week on social media and next Monday live on air. Peace.
Peace.